Big tech has already burned through hundreds of billions building the infrastructure for AI. The return so far, a fraction of what was promised, nowhere close to break even, and the people making those decisions aren't the ones who will feel it when the bill comes due. You will, because you're already inside this system, whether you chose to be or not. This is what $600 billion in corporate delusion actually looks like. In 2024, David Kahn asked a simple question. If the biggest companies in the world keep spending on AI the way they are spending right now, how much money would the industry need to make every single year just to justify it? His answer was $600 billion per year, not as a growth target, not as an aspiration, as a minimum, the floor, the number at which all of this starts to make financial sense. Right now, the entire AI industry is generating around $100 billion in revenue combined. That leaves a $500 billion gap between what exists and what's needed. And every quarter the infrastructure spending goes up, that gap gets harder to close, and it gets worse when you look inside the companies driving this. OpenAI secured $10 billion in funding and then needed another $8.3 billion just months later. Anthropic is generating hundreds of millions per month in revenue and is still projected to lose $14 billion this year. Elon Musk XAI was burning through more than $1 billion every single month just to keep the lights on. These aren't struggling startups, these are the flagship names of the AI boom. And here's the part that most people miss. Traditional software scales beautifully. Build it once at 1 million users, the costs barely move. That's why companies like Microsoft and Adobe can become some of the most profitable businesses in history. AI doesn't work like that. Every single query costs real money, every answer requires compute, electricity, and infrastructure. The more people use it, the more expensive it gets to run. That's the opposite of the business model that made software so valuable in the first place. 90% of CEOs say AI will fundamentally change their companies by 2028. Only 25% of AI initiatives are actually delivering their expected return right now. 9 out of 10 executives believe it's essential. 1 in 4 can explain how it makes money. The rest are essentially running corporate peer pressure as a strategy, and nobody wants to be the one who shows up without a shovel. There's a part of the story that never appears in earnings calls. It's happening in the towns and cities where these data centers actually sit. US data center energy demand is on track to nearly double between 2025 and 2028, jumping from 80 to 150 gigawatts. To put that in terms, that means something that's the equivalent of adding a country with Spain's entire energy needs to the American grid in just 3 years. By 2028, data centers could be consuming 12% of all electricity used in the United States, not 12% of tax electricity. We are talking about 12% of the entire country. Then there's the water. A single large data center uses between 1.5 and 3 million cubic meters of water every year just to keep the machines cool. In one Oregon town, a single company's facilities consumed more than 25% of the city's entire water supply. The same system being sold to you as virtual, weightless, and infinitely scalable is drawing from the same rivers and municipal supplies that the people living next to it depend on. The cloud has a zip code and someone else is paying its water bill. Here's the part that should make you stop and think before your next prompt. 34.8% of everything employees paste into AI tools contains sensitive information, legal documents, client data, medical records, source code. That figure was 11% in 2023. It has more than tripled in 2 years, and 83% of the companies where this is happening have zero technical controls in place to stop it. Samsung learned the hard way. Three employees used ChatGPT to debug proprietary source code, log internal meeting notes, and analyze confidential data all in the same week. The ban came back immediately. Over 225,000 ChatGPT credentials have since been found for sale on the dark web, marketplaces, and on the consumer plans most people use. Your conversations are used to train future models by default. There's a toggle to opt out. Most people don't know it exists. Every contract snippet, every client detail, every sensitive thing you type into the free version becomes potential training material until you find that setting and turn it off. You can get that data back afterward. So here's what we actually are. The infrastructure is real, the spending is real, the data being collected is real, the $500 billion gap between what this industry needs to earn and what it is currently earning is also real. At some point, all four of those things have to meet. The last time an industry built this much infrastructure this fast on assumptions that hadn't been tested yet, the Nasdaq lost 76% of its value and took 15 years to recover. Nobody called it a bubble while it was building either. Thank you so much for watching this one. Subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.